Glad you can make it. Let's go on in. Oh, fist bump or elbow. Okay, I just want to do this video about the Hammock, the bell work week of April 13th. Bell work week of April 13th. Okay, so what you hopefully are doing right now. So I'm just going to kind of, just like we're in class, man. I'm right here, and they would have some time, teachers, just a little bit today where we can be up here, and so I thought I'd make a quick video and go through the questions. Just go through them real quick, just like we would in class. And then if you have questions, just put them in the comments of the Google Classroom. But number one of week of April 13th, all it is you're using rational numbers, and you're going to have to put them in order. If you read it, it says which list shows the rectangles in order by their diagonal lengths from shortest to longest. Okay, smallest to biggest, shortest to longest, which would be smallest to biggest. When we're comparing numbers, okay, we have multiple numbers, more than two numbers. We need to make sure they're all the same form. Put them all in decimals. 6.7, it's already a decimal. 34 over 5. Okay, how do we change a fraction to a decimal? Guys, this is like 6th grade math right here. It's still something you need to know how to do as an 8th grader. We've talked about this all year long. How do we do this? Top of the box, you divide. Just do 34 divided by 5. And then over here, the little check mark, you know, it looks like a division box with a check mark. That's the radical sign. That's asking the square root of 36.5. So that's not a decimal number, but it's asking for the square root of 36.5. So you have to do something. This is where you would take your calculator if you had it, and you would hit the second button, you know, top left, and then hit the x squared button to find, you know, and then you should have that little radical sign pop up with the blinking square, blinking rectangle. You type in 36.5 equals, and it'll tell you what the square root of 36.5 is. It should be 6 point something. Okay, but then just all you gotta do is just, you know, line for decimal points. Okay, and then compare the place values. Like I would just go decimal point, decimal point. How many numbers do we have? 3. So 3 decimal points. Put the numbers there in order, okay, and then just compare them. Compare the place values, okay, and then figure out smallest to biggest. Okay, that's how you would work number 1. Okay, moving on to number 2. And yes, the board is working today. Unbelievable. Like it doesn't work during the school year when you're here, but now it's working. All right, the table shows the completion time. Again, which list shows the runners in order of their completion times from fastest to slowest? Okay, fastest, if you're the fastest, do you have the shortest time or the longest time? Shortest time. So we're going to go shortest numbers, okay, shortest number to the biggest number. It's in time, it's in seconds, but again, just like I did number 1, what do we have to do first? Put them all in the same form. See, that's a mixed number, a whole number and a fraction. That's a decimal, that's good. And Patty, oh Patty, Patty's a decimal, so we're good there. Ellen's a decimal. But Steve and Joe, we need to change those to decimal numbers. Just change the fraction parts to decimals. How do you change a fraction to a decimal? You divide, top in the box. That's something you hopefully learned probably in 7th grade math with Miss McMurray. Maybe previously before that, but top in the box, you divide. Okay, so you do 1 divided by 2, 2 divided by 5, change the decimals. Then like I said, you know, line for decimal points. How many numbers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the numbers where they go, and just compare the place values. Okay? Oh, come on, eraser. Erase. Moving on. Number 3. Okay, now we're talking about dilations. This is more, you know, this is something you've learned, like new for you, 8th grade level. Okay, we're talking about dilations. Okay, and we're talking about the rule. Okay, the change. How do you show the rule algebraically? Okay, remember on these transformations. Okay, there's 4 types of transformations. There's translations where it just slides. There's reflections where it's reflected over a given line. A rotation where it's just rotated. Then a dilation. Think about eye doctor. What happens to your pupils? Okay, so a dilation is bigger or small, not just smaller, but bigger or smaller. Okay, but when we're doing it algebraically, what's happening? It's getting multiplied by a scale factor. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, is something showing multiplication. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll look through these. This one is saying 0.5. I see subtraction. I see subtraction. No. I see subtraction. I see subtraction. No. Okay, so then we look for, we have 2 options that are showing multiplication. Okay, because side by side means multiply. So I've told you this. When you have multiple choice, okay, use some reasoning, use some logic, and but what I've always told you is, okay, when you're doing multiple choice, you can narrow out two of the answer choices. Okay, you can get rid of them. Like I just did A and B quickly. I just looked at it because I know dilation. Something I've learned this year as an 8th grade student is that dilation we're going to have to multiply a scale factor. We're going to have to multiply, not multiplication, not multiplication. Get rid of them. We have C and D. Okay, but now look at 5/4. Is that more than 1 or less than 1? 5/4 is more than 1. 0.9, is that more than 1 or less than 1? That's less than 1. So one of these is an enlargement, one is a reduction. Now let's go look up here. A polygon will be dilated on a corner grid to create a smaller polygon. It's going to get smaller. So we need a reduction. Which one's a reduction? D. So D, I went ahead and worked this one to the answer for you, but I want you to see how to get that, how to get there. Okay? So 3 is D. The other two, I told you how to do them. I didn't get you to the answer, but 3 is D. All right, so it's saying it's a transformation, and then here's the rule. Here's what's happening. Okay? We have a variable, another variable it's A, the same variable, it's side by side. Okay, what does side by side mean? Multiply. What transformation is multiplication? A dilation. So we're talking about dilation. Let's read these answer choices here. Okay, it's one of these, which statement must be true? So we need to read each one, okay, figure out use the clues in the problem, figure out which one. All right, A. If A is greater than 1, the image is congruent. Okay, if it's greater than 1, it's going to get bigger. That's what you need to know. That's what, hopefully with dilations, we're multiplying, but then if the scale factor is more than 1, it's going to get bigger. If the scale factor is less than 1, it's going to get smaller. You know, enlargement or reduction. A says it's going to be congruent. That's the same. I don't like that answer. Okay, so that's what we need to do is read through all these. Okay, this says between 0 and 1, it's going to be congruent. Congruent means same. For it to be the same, think about it. How would you get the same? Probably multiplying by 1, yes? So not something less than 1 or more than 1 to get congruent. Now, so again, I narrowed it down. A and B, I don't like. It's either C or D. Read it. This says greater than 1. That says, D says between 0 and 1, which means less than 1. So C is greater than 1. D is less than 1. Read the rest of it. You'll get to your answer. Number 5. Bottle contains, it says 30 fluid ounces of orange juice, 18 ounces of pineapple juice. Which graph has a slope that best represents the ratio of orange juice to pineapple juice? Okay, real quick. I'm not going to go through these answer choices on all these problems. Let's just talk about the meat and potatoes of what they're talking about here. Talking about slope. How do you find slope? You know, it's rise over run, it's a ratio. It's always y over x. Okay? Y over x. So, orange juice, that's your y. Pineapple juice, that's your x. Put 30 over 18, figure out which one matches to them. Number 6 is the same type of problem. Okay, if you notice, that's what I've done on this bell word. I put 2 problems that are the same side by side. Okay, so 6 is just like 5. Number 7. Okay, based on the table, how much did Francis earn per hour? Well, again, we're trying to figure out, we got a ratio. We got y and x, amount earned, number of hours worked. How do you find, like, the unit rate? It's kind of like slope. How do you find that? Always y divided by x, y over x. Okay, it's your dependent variable divided by your independent variable. Okay, what's going to come first? Hours worked or how much you earned? Well, if I said, hey, old Joe comes in, how much money is he going to earn this week? What do you got to know first? Okay, you got to know how many hours is he working? How many hours? Hours comes before you figure out how much earned. So hours is your independent. So what I'm getting at is, all that being said, 1750 divided by 1.25. 52.5 divided by this. 77 divided by 5.5. Number 8. What is the slope of PV? Well, guys, on a slope on a graph, that's why they went ahead and drew the triangle for you, the right triangle. To find slope on a graph, it's rise over run. This is your rise. This is your run. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. rise is 4, run is 1. There you go. That's how you find slope with a graph. Number 9, scatter plot. Okay? What it means is these points are plotted on here, they're on the graph, and they're not in a necessarily straight line, okay, like a linear relationship, but it's they're scattered. But sometimes we can get a trend line, which could be linear, okay, and we could use that trend line, okay, based on the scatter plot, which is the best prediction of the number of points scored by a student who spends 45 minutes playing the video game. Find 45 minutes, okay. What I would do is I would make a trend line. Trend line needs to be in the middle of your scatter of your points. Okay, so make a trend line going through. Find 45 minutes. Okay, and figure out where that hits your trend line. That's what you need to do. And it's multiple choice. We can go from there. Number 10 is just like 9. Okay, so any questions on these, please, 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 please go in the comments. All right?